chance and take a risk, right? So I'm going to talk to the grown-ups about opening their hearts and taking risks so that we can continue to take care of the people in our community that need help. I think that's a good plan. What do you think of this? You like that? Yeah. What are you going to do to keep your heart open? You have a plan? Yes, huh? No. Sometimes it helps to think good things about other people. So you might see someone walking down the street who looks different than you, who maybe is tall and skinny, or who's maybe bent over and old, or who's maybe stumbling a little because their balance is off, or a child who has dirty clothes on. And the first thing you might think is, ew, to all of those people. But to practice having an open heart, you can say, that's another person just like me. Even if the person's old and bent over, because someday you'll be there too. Hard to believe. That's another human being. That's another person in the world. And I can open my heart to that. I don't have to say anything or do anything. I just have to be okay with them. Does that sound doable? You're going to have to remember that works. Okay. And don't forget, wait a second. For you guys, I'm Rev Danny, right? But not for them. Okay. Let's sing the children out. The words are in our order of worship, and you may go to your classes.
Thank you, Rick. Now it's time for our candles of joy and concern. And let me get something to light them with. You know, when we do the candles of joy and concern, we raise these up in support and unity for each other here. So, anyone like to start? Julie.
Candle of joy for Maggie, who turns 5 tomorrow.
Maggie turns 5. Wow. Yes.
I had a friend who has had a layoff going for like 2 months, and so she finally had her last day. So it's a joy that she has time to focus on what matters most, but a concern and doesn't know what's next.
Okay, very good. Yes, Denise.
I have a concern and joy. My joy is Brendan turned 10 yesterday. It's very exciting. I had an age day. And my concern is for my dad, Tom, who is having some pretty serious medical complications right now.
Okay. Here we go. Rick.
Candle of joy for the coffee house last night. Tyler Nail was fantastic. We had a lot of great open mic performances, and we get to take a break for a couple of months.
All the volunteers who helped. It was a great effort. Yes.
Tyler nailed it.
June.
Not kind of selfish, but a joy from there who's been super kind to me and have a lot of trips in the last month or so.
That sounds great. Yes, Reverend.
I have a joy. Pastor got his second and third place in open dogs
Wow.
That's a big deal.
Anyone else? Yes.
Several cases of concerns for students of mine who are dealing with this that are unimaginable for everybody, let alone children. Hunger, war for the parents, abuse and self-recrimination for the abuse. But the joy is we have a really good staff really there for the kids. In high school, we're having our first dance.
Wow. Great. Any others? Okay, well, I'll light one more for all the joys and concerns that we still have hold close in our hearts.
Spirit of life, we come together in this community of love, in this community of care, in this community of compassion. We gather in worship in this space that is sacred to us, surrounded by each other, all of whom are sacred. We gather in a place of safety so that we may freely share our joys and sorrows, our worries and our concerns. The simple joys of birthdays, 5 years old and 10 years old, the simple joy of getting a break after work, help us survive. Joy of kindness of friends, the simple joy of Tyler, who, quote, nailed it last night. And buried in those joys, held by those joys, are our sorrows and our concerns. Worries about children who have so many needs at this time. Worries about a friend who has been laid off permanently, which can be both a blessing and a sorrow. Worries about a dad who has medical complications. As our parents age, that is a sorrow and a worry that we carry with us. And for all those joys and sorrows that are held quietly in our hearts, let us remember that because this is a community of love and compassion, we each share those joys and sorrows. And we are compelled by our faith to care for one another, to touch someone on the shoulder or the hand after church, knowing that they have a sorrow, or that they didn't share a sorrow, but you know they are struggling. To offer a hug to those of us who are celebrating small joys that fill our hearts in this time of sorrow and difficulty in our country. And let us remember that we are held by that spirit of love, community by each other. And for that, we are grateful to all that is holy. Amen. Please join me in a time of silent reflection. Let us join together, Spirit of Life. It is in your gray hymnal, number 123. Please remain seated. the morning offering will be gratefully received to continue the good works of this church. Let us sing for the dedication of these gifts. It's in your order of worship, Spirit of truth, of life, of power.
Today's reading comes from the Evangelical UU by Reverend Dr. Paul G. Hall. This was presented at the Hopedale Unitarian Parish on September 18th, 2011. One of the greatest services that you could do for someone is to invite them into this community of caring and hope, of acceptance and love, of seeking and compassion. People are waiting to hear our Unitarian Universalist message of a faith grounded in a belief that the final authority in religious matters rests in each person's engagement with life, and that engagement moves your soul to rejoice. People are waiting to hear of a faith that affirms in each person's core of cores, everyone holds a love divine that will not let you go. This is the good news, the spirit that we are called.
Stand as you're willing and able for the hymn for the sermon. It's number 1013 in the Teal hymn.
Maddie is going to teach it to us, number 1013. I'll give you a minute to find a hymnal and find the song.
Yeah, so hymnal is like this. If you don't have one, so throw that in across the room. As a condolence for finding the hymnals, I promise it's an easy one this morning. I'm gonna sing it through once, and then we're all gonna sing it through twice. So you'll notice there's no fourth and fifth verse. So we're just gonna sing the first verse, the one verse, 3 times. Again, I'm gonna sing it, and then we're all gonna sing it twice. It's a pretty nice song. Open my heart to all I see, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all I see, let me be part of the love you Thank you. You may be seated.
It's always good to try a new hymn. Some of you may remember that a few months ago, I preached a sermon here called Throw Open the Doors. Well, this is the new version of Throw Open. Given that all that has happened is that we as Unitarian Universalists, as people of faith, may need to throw them open wider than ever. Unitarian Universalism has been a beacon of hope, sanctuary, and love for over 200 years. And I thank all that is holy that we, you, this congregation, this association of congregations exist at this time. In this month alone, thousands of people have been furloughed from their government jobs. Others continue to work, but without a paycheck. Tens of thousands of our siblings lost their SNAP benefits. Insurance is going to go up so high that people will drop their insurance coverage, their health insurance. Children, parents, the disabled people, elders are going hungry in our community and across the country. 42 million of our siblings are going hungry in what is known as the richest country in the world. And we all know this. I am preaching to the choir. In the old days, last year, when I preached Throw Open the Doors, I was focused on how our faith could become more visible to our neighbors. Wherever I was, from Danvers to Brookfield to the South Shore. For too long, we Unitarian Universalists have hidden our light under a basket. And I, being a Unitarian Universalist evangelist, believe this is our biggest sin. Check my background, Roman Catholic, sin. You may have heard the story of how I came upon Unitarian Universalism when the man I was dating was a UU who was serving on the board of trustees for our denomination, and he took me to church on our first date. My mother would have loved that. I left there thinking that this could be a faith for me, and I left there so angry that this faith that was birthed in New England, in Boston, Massachusetts, had hidden itself so well that that was the first time I had ever heard of it. When I needed it the most, when my fiance died of leukemia, it was nowhere to be found. I had no faith place. I had no place where people would hold me. So I was really ticked off. And since I became an active UU 40 years ago, I have called myself a UU evangelist. And so throwing open the doors for me, was a metaphor for bringing people into the place where they need to be. A place they had been looking for, but didn't know it existed, like me. Now, today, in these days of fear, worry, our churches can no longer be the best kept secret in our communities. And that brings me to Channing Church, to you. This congregation is a beacon of hope in Rockland, Massachusetts, and beyond. You exhibit an optimism and can-do attitude that belies your small size. Channing Church, and by Channing Church, I mean you, and you, and you, and you. Each one of you is an example of what a Unitarian Universalist church can be. In our reading today, we heard the words of Reverend Dr. Paul Hull telling us that one of the greatest services that we can do for someone is to invite them into this community of caring and hope. Do you realize that this is what you do in your personal lives, inviting people to your home for dinner, in your church life, opening the church for music, for food, for fun, in your religious education program for the youngest of us? This is what you do. This is what you do all the time. And you're doing more and more of it as the need grows. Do you realize that this is what you do? Or do you just go about your business being wonderful exemplars of our faith? Somehow I think it's the second. I think you do not even notice how much you are doing. I don't see any broken arms from back padding in this congregation. What this tells me is that all of you, as Unitarian Universalists and as people who practice their faith, have opened your hearts as a spiritual practice. This opening of your hearts happens in community. It happens because you come to this sacred place to worship together, to love each other, and to trust that the universe will protect and provide. Spiritual practice. Now, you all know by now I'm a big fan of spiritual practice, personal spiritual practice, and communal spiritual practice, which is worship on Sunday mornings, which is feeding people, which is dancing to the music last night, which is open to singing new hymns or old hymns in a new way. Opening your hearts because of trust and love. Without this practice, it would be hard to face the uncompromising world. This practice of love, the practice of open-heartedness is hard to do on a good day, despair and hopelessness, and that is understandable. And I'm sure some of you feel like this some of the time. But your faith holds you up. Never forget you have angels on your side. Generations before this have taken to the front lines publicly and privately as Unitarian Universalists moved by their faith. In the ongoing No Kings demonstrations, you can see hundreds, if not thousands, of yellow shirts proclaiming love. UUs across the country adding our numbers to the Patriots on the March for Freedom. When those No King demonstrations show up on the news, I'm always looking for those god-awful yellow shirts, not a pretty color yellow like this man in the back but is wearing today, but yuck. Wearing those shirts, and they even make stoles for ministers. I do not own one. But I look for that because we stand out in the crowd. We may be small in numbers universally, but we stand out in the crowd saying that we are here because our faith demands it of us. And I feel so proud when I see that. And make no mistake, we are in a battle for our freedom. And while you, right here in these pews, fight for democracy, you continue to do the down and dirty, backbreaking, soul-saving work of protecting and supporting our neighbors and our siblings here in Rockland. Many years ago, when I was hired to be the preaching minister here in this church, I met people in the neighborhood who were surprised over and over again. I was told that people thought this church was closed to worship and outreach, shut down. Never again will the people in Rockland and surrounding towns say that, and that is because of you. Never again. So let's throw open the doors in a whole new way. Let's continue to keep our physical doors wide open so people, and let us throw open the doors of our hearts. With the bruises and the cuts and the scars that are on, they are open. Let us keep them open. Faith